Today is November 24th, 2023. This is workshop number 3 of the series Reconnect with Your Inner Wisdom. The topic of today is the body. We're going to talk about the elements, the relationship between mind, body, and spirit or soul, the relationship with the elements, with nature. Also, we're going to touch on mindfulness and meditation. What is exactly that? A lot of people think is the same, but they are not. And we're going to explain that. And I'm going to also share 2 exercises of so you can start practicing that today. It's very easy. It's not that big thing and complicated thing that a lot of people think it is. Yes, it takes practice, but like anything in life, you know, the master's made thing to experience and practice. So, all right, so we're going to start with a small, short meditation, as we always do, just to ground ourselves. And can I please ask you to close your eyes and start listening to the sounds of nature. Focus on the birds in the background. Imagine that you're out in the bush, just connecting with nature. I like to think that these online workshops are a women's circle, that we are all together connected thanks to the energy of the intention of being here, learning, opening our minds, connecting to the heart of everyone here. How nice would it be to be able to be together right now in a circle facing each other? I always mention a circle because it's the symbol of unity, of family, of communion, of women. We all are the same in a circle. We can see each other. No one is more important than the other. And it's the way our ancestors used to sit down and learn from each other, share experiences. And the wisdom used to pass from grandma to mother to daughter to babies for generations and generations. I'm going to talk about the clear statement of access. This is just to clear the energy of today. I'm going to say that every expectations, limitations, projections, explanation that you're looking in your mind to understand the information that you're about to receive, they just create and destroy and create all that, right and wrong, good and bad, but and plug, and I show about poets and beyonds. And I always clear the energy at the beginning of the workshops because we usually go to a place with some sort of idea about what's going to happen and what we're going to be learning. And I just want you to imagine that you have a whiteboard in front of you and you are just clearing it all. There's no preconceived stories or comparison from other knowledge that you have read before. So you're just getting ready to absorb everything. Okay, and with that, we can open our eyes. So nice to listen to nature. It transports us to out there and we forget that we are in between 4 walls in the city. Okay, I hope you're well. Good morning, Australia. Okay, so we are talking about the body today. I'm just going to lower the sounds, leave them in the background a little bit. Okay. All right, so the body. So, you know, there's a conception that we hear everywhere that is this balance between the body, the mind, and the soul. You know, that's like the goal, have a balanced body, a balanced mind, a balanced soul or spirit. body-mind collection. That's what we're seeking. But a lot of people don't even know what that means. Why do we have to find the perfect balance? And what does it mean when it's just too much body or too much mind or too much soul? I mean, who has too much soul? That doesn't make any sense to a lot of people. What exactly does that mean? What I want you to ask you, and just think of, maybe you can put it in the message box. What do you think is the difference between the voice that you hear and the mind? When I talk about that voice that you hear, I'm talking about that mind chatter. When you're like quiet, there's like thoughts and voices, that just tells you information. If you don't know, it's okay as well. Good one. Interesting. Could be. It's a little bit there. We're going to touch on that. Subconscious versus intuition. Now, another thing that just for you to be aware of it. So there's a saying that it goes like that. The lock, let me read it so I can get it perfectly right. Where is it? The lock, your mind is the lock, but the body is the key. If that makes sense to you. Why? The lock is your mind, but the body is the key. And what that means is that the mind, it can create stories. What you believe yesterday, it can be different to what you believe today. It can be different to what you believe tomorrow. Everything is experiences, and who you are right now, as we have been speaking about in the previous two workshops as well, it creates this character that it's, we do and think in one way because of the experiences and all this story that we have before us. That's what it's called the ego, that we learn that, or the character what we play. So that's the mind. The mind is the one that tells the stories because you experience something in the past, or you know something similar. It's like the way babies learn. When a baby is born, it's like their mind is completely empty. There's nothing there. So little by little, they start observing. They learn something here, learn something there. They see parents or siblings, and they basically repeat what they see. And that's the way they learn. Ooh. Oh, sorry. So I just saw your voice can be wrong. Okay. Okay, we get there. It's interesting. Okay. So going back to what I was saying. So basically the baby is like a whiteboard. The years pass, you go to school, kindy, all that, family, friends, and then you observe and you start learning like a sponge. You start learning. So that gets where goes to the mind, your hard drive. If you imagine like your mind is like it's like this computer, and every time that you learn something, it becomes a program. Like a program that you run in your computer. It's like, okay, this is the program. This is about how do I have to eat, and this is about how do I show love, and this is how do I make friends. And they just keep creating this archive of thoughts and feelings and emotions and experiences that become the programs that run in your mind, in your head, your whole life. And so every time that you experience something that is similar to something that your mind will go quickly to the archive and will pick that program and start running it. So then you know what to do because you have seen it, you have experienced it. Maybe it was something nice or something bad, but your mind already knows. So they will go there and they will replicate. So that's how you know how to do things. For people that have moved cities or have gone overseas, It's like a beginner's mind. Again, it's like a baby's mind, because you go into a new culture, you go into a new city, you go into a new language. So you don't know how people act. And then you observe, and then you learn, and then a new program gets created in your mind. And then next time you, for whatever reason, you meet someone from that same country or from that same culture, then you already have the program in your mind. And it's like, I know what to say. I know how to act because I've lived it. My mind have programmed myself to know how to act. So that's how the mind works. The little voice that we hear is that mind. Imagine your computer had a little voice that tells you, actually, like ChatGPT these days, or the AI, that, you talk something and they go to the world's hard drive and they look for the program. So it's basically, we are the same, actually. Now that I'm thinking, that's actually a really good metaphor. So, and that's how we work, exactly that way. That chatter is basically our mind telling us, oh, this is what happened 5 years ago. We know what's going to happen. Okay, this is what is probably going to, this is the outcome of whatever task, whatever thing we do. That's really good. And the mind is super smart, is amazing. We only have touched 10% of what our brain capacity can do. So imagine if one day we can tap into even 5% more. It will be incredible. The interesting thing, though, is that the mind, it has two ways of going. One could be amazing, super smart. The other one is that it could be your own enemy. Why do I say that? Because if you tend to go back too much to the past, and you tend to follow your life and do and act every day the way your mind is telling you, you're almost like you closing down possibilities of changing the outcomes. Because when you are not changing the way you think and you're telling that voice, stop, I'm going to live a new experience with no parameters, then the situation changes completely. It's like when you go to a class that everyone tells you that is super boring. So because your mind have already said to yourself that it's going to be boring. So then how do you think you're going to feel at the class if you already think it's going to be boring? It's going to be the worst class in the world, because you already believe your voice that said it's going to be boring. This is long, it's like exhausting. And so if you, for what you decide to not listen to your mind, to those programs that have been running in your life all your life, then you can observe everything a different way. You can start creating a new reality. You can start stepping into a new situation, new people, new conversations, because you're going with a beginner's mind. And the beginner's mind is a mindfulness concept. When we talk about mindfulness, we always want to approach every situation with a beginner's mind, or like a baby's mind, because we are not letting our mind to drive our life. We are allowing ourselves to learn on our way, because the person that we were even like a year ago or 6 months ago that had these experiences and those programs are not the person we are right now. So if you allow your mind to tell you what to do because of the person that you were a year ago, you see how it's not matching? You are reacting according to someone you doesn't exist anymore. You have changed. You are older, you're probably wiser, you have learned from your experiences. If you allow your mind to tell you, no, this is going to happen because whatever reason, you're closing the possibilities, you're closing the energy flowing. We're going to touch a little bit of energy today, but next workshop, it's about energy, the whole hour and a half. So that'll be really interesting. Today, we're going to touch on that a little bit. We're going to be doing an exercise that's called the expansion exercise. This is something that is part of mindfulness, meditation, and energy work. They call it different, but essentially the exercise is the same. Actually, why don't we jump on that right now. Yes, let's do it right now. So this is called the expansion exercise. And so what we're going to do is just going to close your eyes, and I'm just listen to to what I'm saying and just follow my instructions. Okay? Okay, let's just inhale and exhale. And inhale again and exhale one more time. One more time, inhale and exhale. Now I want you to go, if your mind is trying to tell you stories, go to your mind, and I want you to try to find someone that you love dearly. Imagine that person, that pet. It could actually be also a place that you love to be there. And just think about what emotion you perceive when you think about that person or that place or that pet. Think about a situation with that person that brings a smile to your face. Could be something that happened a long time ago, something recent, something that is just funny or cute or loving. And now start perceiving, how does it feel within you? Make you wanted to laugh, and make you want to, giggle. It could be something really funny that happened to you. Now I want you to grab that emotion that is within you and touch it. Put your hands on the middle of your chest or your heart. Now that emotion, I want you to give it a color. It could be gold or silver or pink or rainbow. And just think about that situation, that person. And then I want you that for you to imagine that color that is start increasing in size. And instead of being only in your heart, now it's growing to all your body. Because that emotion is just expanding. That love and laughter, that feeling that you have is expanding. Focus on that and perceive what you feel in your body. What you feel when you think about that love, or the laughter, or the joy, the funny moment. Your body is perceiving that. Now I want you to imagine, what would it feel if you could perceive the limits of your body? So it's when your body finishes and the space around it starts. Could be around your hands or your clothes, your skin touching your clothes, or your hair in the space, the end of your nose. Just exactly where your skin finishes and the space starts. When you imagine that, now go beyond that emotion, that laughter, that feeling, that feel has a color. It goes out of your skin, out of your limit. And now it starts increasing in size and goes to the side of the room where you are, like a bubble. Imagine it's like a balloon that starts increasing. Is the room, maybe the house where you are. You keep expanding, it's growing and growing. The city, maybe you start reaching the sky, the birds, and expands big and big. You can now see your city or your country, and you keep expanding. There will be a moment that is like you're up in the air, and then you go beyond that. Maybe it's the space, but you keep focusing in that feeling, the laughter, the joy, the love. Out there, when you reach the space, when you reach the nothing, it's just love and joy. That's what we call it, the quantum field, the energy field, where everything is possible, where everything is abundant. Because people, before there were people, and before time was time, we humans were pure light, living in the quantum, where energy is possible and anything is possible. Once you are there, I want you to start looking at where you are in your city, and you come back from the space to the sky where the birds are, they're going down again. You see your house, you see the room where you were, the body is sitting, and then you're back again where you were sitting. Now when you're ready, you can open your eyes and perceive what are you feeling. Does it feel any different? That is the expansion exercise. It allows your consciousness, which is inside us, to bypass the mind that is telling you that the only place that we can be is here, sitting in front of the computer or the phone, and that's the limit of our existence. When you do mindfulness and meditation, you are able to transport that, because it's not about the mind and it's not about only the body. It's about your consciousness and your soul and your spirit. So when you do the expansion exercise and you focus in a high vibrational feeling like love, joy, laughter, a place that you went on holidays, that it was amazing and you want to go back and makes you smile, you are touching into high vibrational emotions. And when you do that, you create coherence between your mind that is thinking about that memory, between your body that is perceiving the emotion, and between your soul. And that's how you can expand and create and touch into the quantum where everything exists. Nothing is judged, everything is just energy. So that is an exercise that is, I have seen it in spirituality, I see it in mindfulness coaching classes, in meditation classes. They call it just different names. But essentially, what we wanted to do is just bypass your mind that it tells you this is not possible because I'm just here sitting in front of a computer, to go beyond that and tells you that no, it is possible because everything is around us. Just because it's outside of our body, this body, doesn't mean that does not exist. That is called also intuition, gut feeling. When you go to a place and you perceive the energy, and you perceive that, if you go to a place, it feels a bit like, I feel like someone just had an argument. You perceive the tension. Or you go to work and you suddenly perceive that everyone is feeling really awkward. It's like, you know that something happened. Someone said something, someone is uncomfortable. No one have to tell you anything. Or like a mom, that they know when their child is sad or when their child is happy. The child doesn't have to say anything, but you intuitively, you already know. You perceive that something is off or something is different. Maybe you say, oh, but I never perceive anything. And that's okay. Just because we've been exploring in the previous two workshops, sometimes the mind is too strong, it's too present, it's just too thinking too much all the time. So that's why the part that is the body, the perception, is just a little bit, the volume is just turned down. That doesn't mean that it's good or bad. This is just to create awareness in you that say, okay, if I can practice the expansion exercise, or start thinking that the limit is not only the body, so then you can realize that you are able to meditate, you are able to go beyond the thinking mind. A lot of people, when I tell them, oh, try to start meditating like 5 minutes a day or something like that, they're like, oh, I've tried it all. I've done it many times. Doesn't work. I get distracted. I think about what I'm doing tomorrow, what I did yesterday. That is called the monkey mind. or the mind chatter. It's because it never stops. It's always trying to do things. In the reality that we live, we are used to always doing something. We have to do things. We cannot be quiet. And even when we're quiet, we are watching Netflix or we're reading a book or we're doing something or we're thinking about what do I have to go to the grocery later. So it's still doing something. You're thinking. The idea of meditation and mindfulness, which I will explain now what the difference between them, is that you are aware of your thoughts. You are aware that, oh, I'm thinking about the groceries. I'm thinking about that person I need to call. But what you don't do is that you allow the thought to come and then go. And then another thought will come and then you just let it go again. You're not doing the action of thinking about it. You just identify the thought and you just let it go. It's like when you lay down on the grass and you're looking at the sky and it's full of clouds. You see a cloud, the cloud comes, and then the cloud goes. And then another one comes, transforms, changes, and then it goes. It's exactly the same, but with your thoughts. You have to imagine that there are clouds in the sky, that they're coming and going. When what it could be quite challenging is that for some people, it's very difficult to identify when the thought is coming and when you are finally thinking. A lot of people realize too late when they're already in the chat with their mind, and you're like, oh, I'm thinking again. What happened? This takes practice. And a lot of the people that I talk to and I recommend meditation, I say, just start with like a couple of minutes. And this is where the mindfulness and meditation come to play. To practice mindfulness, you do not have to meditate like what you have seen on TV or people tell you what to do, that you have to sit down, close your eyes, and meditate. Yes, that's meditation. We're going together in a minute. Mindfulness is a different thing. The word mindfulness is actually telling it's actually the action of doing the opposite of what mindfulness is, because your mind is always full. So we're trying to empty the mind. We're trying to do an action that is going to allow us to just drift away and don't think about our everyday life. So by everyday life, I mean like groceries, work, what my partner said, what do I have to call someone tomorrow, all these doing and things that we do, actions. So for example, a good mindfulness exercise is just go for a walk and observe nature. You are not walking with your eyes closed, you're actually walking normally, but instead of thinking about the groceries, about what time is it, at what time do I have to go there, or I have to go to the gym, you're just going for a walk and you're focusing in the bush, in the flowers, in the sounds, in how the wind feels in your skin. You see how you're connecting your body. You're going from being in your mind, thinking about endless things, and you come back to the body. You start perceiving with your senses. You perceive the wind in your skin or your nose, your hair moving. You perceive the sounds of the birds, or not necessarily nature. You can be anywhere. There's a wrong idea that to practice mindfulness, you have to be in a beautiful, peaceful place. That's not the case. You can actually practice mindfulness listening to the traffic, which is, it goes against what people say, oh, mindfulness is so calm and beautiful. But the tricky thing is that that's exactly where the challenge is. There's a very famous mindfulness coach called Jay Shetty. He's English. His books are really good, actually. There's a book, amazing book that I will send. I will share photos later in the chat. It's called Think Like a Monk. If you read the topic or the heading of the book, you think, well, I don't want to really think like a monk. I'm not a monk. What does he mean? But it's not like that. He just give a lot of advice of how to let the monkey mind on the side and just try to learn why a monk is a monk. What makes them so peaceful? I want to learn that, and I want to use those tips in my everyday life. There's a part in the book that he says when he used to live in an ashram, and if you don't know what an ashram is where people that are monks get trained. It's like a school for monks. And so they spend hours and hours meditating in a secluded space. So it's super quiet. And so eventually he left the ashram and he came to the US. And so he was talking with his teacher and he was complaining because like, oh my God, the city is so busy. It's like I can never find a place to meditate or practice mindfulness because the city is so loud, right? And the teacher looked at him and said, that is exactly the point. You think that because you learn how to do mindfulness in an ashram, life is going to be that way, or you can only practice mindfulness in a quiet space. You have achieved mindfulness when you can practice it anywhere, in traffic, in Times Square in New York, while people are talking around you, in the line of the supermarket. You can practice mindfulness anywhere. A really good place to practice is when you're lining up at the post office or the bank or the supermarket, and there's nothing to do. Usually people go on the phone, right? Because your mind wants to be distracted because it's like a waste of time. It's like, oh, I could be doing something more practical. That's exactly the perfect place to practice mindfulness. Observe, is it cold or is it warm? The same as you do in nature, you can do it inside. What are the colors that I'm seeing? What is this person wearing? What is that, that side? What color can I see? Is it organized and unorganized? So by being mindful about your environment, you are practicing your own mindfulness. You are letting your thoughts to drift away and you focusing in the moment. You are letting your body start perceiving your environment. Have you ever thought about sometimes when you are really busy, we forget that we are thirsty, that we want to go to the bathroom, that we haven't eaten. You forget about all those things. Why? Because when we are really busy, the mind is driving us because we are working or thinking or, have a deadline. It's just all here. The mind is driving us. And then suddenly, if you, for whatever reason, you stop and then you realize, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. Or, oh, I need to go to the bathroom, have to run. Why? Because your body is almost like shut down. You were just thinking too much. And then you forgot that there's actually a body that needs to be taken care of. So mindfulness practices helps you to go back to your body, to reconnect. That's why the expansion exercise is a nice way of connecting with the body, because we're focusing in an emotion that comes from the mind, is a memory program, a memory, a holiday, a person, is part of the mind. It's almost like going to the mind, finding the program, the joy, the happiness, the beautiful moment. And then once you have that and you start experiencing the emotion, and then you connect with your body. What are you feeling? Okay, let's grow it within us. So we're trying to move from here, to the heart area, to the body, and expand. And then once you expand in your body, you focus in your body, then you can go out of your body, the soul connection. So you have your mind, your heart, and then your soul. Your heart meaning the body. A lot of people, when they do manifestation, or if you're reading The Secret, it's another amazing book. It's like from the 90s, but it's still so relevant. And they talk about coherence between the mind, the body, and the soul. Because when you are aligned, that's when you can manifest, because what you're thinking is aligned with what you are feeling. And then you can project into the energy field where we cannot see but perceive what you're feeling. Because when you start vibrating, and we're going to talk about more frequencies of vibrations and energy in the next workshop that is about energy, just to tap on that, that energy is around us. The fact that we don't see it doesn't mean that there's the molecules. The only difference between the air that we breathe in and this phone that is next to me is how tied the molecules are to each other. That's the only difference. If you go to a lab and you start seeing with a microscope what things are made, and you go down, down, down to the electrons and protons, and you go inside them, everything is light. It's pure energy. It's pure light. And everything is made of the same, even the air particle, everything. So that is the realm of the quantum physics, that now they are catching up with spirituality, with the Indian traditions or Egyptian tradition that they've been around for 5,000 years, that they had this knowledge. But because the mind always wants explanations, always wants to understand everything, and you don't give me an explanation, something that is tangible that you can touch, therefore does not exist. What quantum physics does now is that they're trying to prove why monks are so peaceful, and they analyze their brain waves and they see that they are always in coherence. I hope that is making sense. I'm not going to advance in this. So now that we understand the mind, body, soul connection, let's go back to the body. Something really important is the elements and how the body. I feel like I spoke about this last workshop a little bit, but maybe we're going to talk more when we talk about Mother Earth. But the elements are linked to our bodies, because we have spoken about the mind for 2 workshops. I think we're clear on that. Now we're talking about the body. So the body is linked to nature and is linked to the elements. When we talk about the elements, there are 5 elements. It's the air, the fire, water, earth, and the ether. When I talk about ether, is the universe, the space where we cannot see. Is, for example, the air that we breathe. That's ether. But essentially, there's 4 elements: air, water, earth, and fire. And when I say that we are the elements, therefore we are nature, is because we are linked to it. We are made of the same. When we talk about air, so, let's just start with water. That is more common. When we talk about water, we have water within us, like nature. Nature has oceans and rivers. We have veins with blood. We have sweat. We have tears that are salty, exactly like the ocean. So this is the water element within us. And it's no coincidence that we are 70% water as well as the earth. The earth is 70% water too. When you see photos of nature, you see that the rivers that we see from above in the space, they look exactly the same as our veins. Exactly the same of our nervous system or our vessels in our brain. It's the same design. So that's the water element. When we think about the fire element, what do you think about how is the fire within us? The fire within us is why we are alive. Our heart is basically pumping blood all the time. It's like it's plugged until the last day that we are here in this earth. So much that when someone is in hospital and needs to be awakened, they had something, and then they use electricity to pump the heart again. And the heart, it's alive. It's like it was gone and now it's back, thanks to electricity. The amazing thing is that since the moment that life is created in the womb, this little heart is like a bomb. It's already pulsating. Where is that coming from? It's just who we are, our spirit, our soul. So that's the fire, is the drive, what we want to do, what make us walk, what make us do things. As women, is our powerhouse of creativity. That's in our womb. That's why that says, people say that if you have your feminine and masculine energies balanced, you are creative, but you also do things. You're not only creative, but you're also able to achieve things. And we're going to talk about that in the next, when we talk in the next week, we're going to talk about the masculine and feminine energies and all that stuff. But basically, essentially, for the woman, we have two hearts. We have our normal heart, and the second heart is the womb. There's a connection there, and it's linked to our fire. That's why if you talk about energies, when you talk about the feminine energy, that's the creativity, that's the willingness to do things, to create not only life, but businesses, community, group of people. The guy, you can be a guy, you can be a teacher, you can be a mother, not only to your children, but only to your community, to your friends, to your family. So that's the powerhouse that women are able to do and create. Then we have the earth element. It's pretty obvious, that's our bodies. The earth needs the sun to be abundant, to be fertile. We need the sun as well. We need vitamin D in our life. We also solid. And as you know, we come from nothing. And when we leave this earth, we become nothing, like the earth. It's always regenerating. We're always losing, we're shedding skin, shedding hair, too much hair, according to my husband. Hair, skin, everything. All the cells drop and the new cells always regenerating. So we are like the earth. And then when we talk about air, breathing, like the planet, we have the oxygen. And the interesting thing is that, and this is for you to know, is that the word spirare, which is Latin, means to breathe. And spirare means come from the spirit. So that tells you that back in the ancient time, spirare, it was from the spirit. So what does that mean? That the act of breathing, it connects you to your spirit. And that's why breathing is so important when you do meditation. And also mindfulness, but meditation specifically, because it's all about your breathing. There's a saying that says, the better you breathe, the longer you live. Because you go from shallow breathing, which is when you are anxious for something, when you're stressed, the first thing you notice is that you're not breathing. You're actually holding your breath. When you're under pressure, you like go for seconds that you are actually not doing this. And if you don't believe me, because I have tried it, I remember when I started my mindfulness journey, I started to realize that I was not breathing in some moments. And there was a time in my life that I used to do, I used to go to an acupuncturist once every few weeks. And sometimes she would tell me, don't forget to breathe. When you go for massages, sometimes they tell you, breathe. Or when you go to meditation classes or sound baths, things like that, they will tell you, don't forget to breathe. Because in our life, we are used to breathe really shallow. It's called shallow breathing. Our breath just goes to here. It doesn't go to the belly. When you deep breathing, you breathe with your belly. You don't breathe with your lungs. Your lungs don't move. When you meditate, you're sitting straight. And we're going to do an exercise in a minute. And you try to focus not to move your lung, but move your belly. Why? Because the air goes so deep within you that you're pumping the air from the bottom and not the top. When we are stressed, when we are rushing, when we are doing a lot of things every day, you think about it. Just be mindful in some moments and realize that, oh my God, your breathing is really short. And even sometimes you have to stop and do, it's because you haven't been breathing properly. So that's why you have to get like a big, chunk of air at once. That's really interesting. I invite you to try to do that. And with that said, let's just do a little bit of an exercise. I'm going to show you 2 exercises that you can go from shallow breathing to deep breathing. And also it's really good to calm your nervous system. When we are stressed, when we have anxiety, when we are busy with work, we have a deadline, our blood start pumping really fast. And that's because our nervous system is like in alert. It's like if we were like in the ancient times, it would be like a lion is chasing us. Nowadays, there's no lion chasing us, but it's work chasing us, or a deadline chasing us, or like the day, oh my God, I need more hours in the day, it's just not enough. For our body, we have been the same for years and years, centuries. So the body doesn't understand that there's not a lion that is chasing us. The body is the same. We just think that's this danger, that something is happening. I remember when I started my own healing journey, I realized that I had adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue is when your adrenals, which are the ones that tells you that you're in danger, they were working so much for so long that my body thought that I was in danger the whole time, essentially. And so when I talked to my health coach, I said, but I don't feel stress anymore. Why my body still thinks it's under stress? And the health coach said, because if you have lived in an environment that has been really stressful for a very long period of time, your body thinks that that is normal. That is your normal for your body, because we are all unique. So that doesn't mean that for this person, stress is okay and they manage it really well. For my body, it was not, but I just didn't know. And so I kept pushing myself, and I didn't know why I was always exhausted, and why, I was like, I had palpitations and I didn't breathe properly. I would stop breathing at the acupuncturist, which is this super relaxing place. And then I started making like connection, and I was like, oh, I see now. My body was completely depleted. I just didn't know. Only when I started learning about mindfulness and adrenal fatigue and all the hypothalamus and all the glands that we have in our body linked to the nervous system, is that I realized, wow, I have not been taking care of my body. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I was not. Just food for thought in case you have been in that position. So now let's go to the exercise. This exercise is called, it has a few names, but it could be square breathing or belly breathing. And this is for when you are feeling stressed at work, or you feel like you have been nonstop for a while and you feel like your heart is like going, like you just run, because that's where your body's telling you that you are in danger. You're not, but your body thinks that you're in danger. So to refocus, you just close your eyes, and let's just do it now. And square breathing is like if you picture a square. Actually, maybe I just explain with your eyes open first. If you imagine a square, I don't know, let's just use this. It's a square. So basically you count 4 when you inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, inhale. Then you hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So essentially you go inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And it's like a square. So you imagine, you can imagine like a square going around. Some people draw a square in the hand while you breathe. So you are connecting with your body as well. So you telling your senses, okay, I'm touching, I'm breathing. So you are connecting with your senses. You're going from your mind to the body. Okay. So now we're going to do that exercise. Okay. I'm just going to guide you, and you just focus on your breathing. Let's close your eyes. And let's just try to breathe with our belly. Let's place one belly That's helpful too. Place one belly in your lower abdomen and one belly on your chest. So you will perceive when your chest is moving and when your belly is moving. So if you go inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, hold for 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, hold for 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you keep doing it. Hold, exhale, and hold. One more time. Inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. And that is the square exercise. When you start doing the square exercise and you focus in using all your lung capacity, not only your chest, but all the way down, you will realize that instead of moving your chest, your belly is going to start moving. Not only here, because this is shallow breathing. It goes from this part of the body, like above your breast, up. The shallow breathing. When you do deep breathing, come from your belly. If you do 10 of that type of breathing, 10 rounds, actually like 8 out of 10, you will notice that your nervous system, it calms down. What do you feel? Did you feel more relaxed after doing that? You can tell me in the chat. It always worked for me. Yeah, it's called square breathing. Square breathing, yes, or belly breathing. That is a very powerful technique. Usually when I see mindfulness clients, when there's a session to manage stress, I usually start with belly breathing because people usually come after work or after seeing the children and they are busy and they're racing and they're like, oh, finally my hour of mindfulness. And then we start with belly breathing to calm the nervous system. Another technique, have you heard about the pranayama breathing? That is a meditation technique and it's from India. Prana is energy. It's like ki from Reiki, for example. We're going to explain some energetic techniques next week. But ki means energy in Chinese, or chi means energy. Prana in Sanskrit, it's also energy. So when you say pranayama, it's just basically you breathing energy. It's a way of breathing that, again, brings you from your mind to your body through the senses. And how it works is that you use these two fingers. If you do this, and then the idea is that you use your fingers to move through one nostril to the other one. So how it works is that you inhale from one, covering the other one. You hold for 4, like belly breathing. You change and you exhale from the other side. So the idea is that you inhale from one side and you exhale from the other side. And then you inhale from the one that you just exhale, change, and you exhale from the other. Is that making sense? So that's pranayama. Why? Because the idea behind is that the oxygen goes to the different side of the brain. So you go inhale, hold, exhale, and then inhale that one, and exhale on the other one. That is pranayama. That's also really good if you want to calm your system down, nervous system down. You can go to the bathroom. Sometimes if you're at work, you can go to the bathroom, close the door, and just do it quickly 5 times. You calm yourself down. Or you are home, and you have people, maybe you're hosting, there's like madness, kids everywhere, people everywhere. You just want to calm yourself down, because a lot of people get really stressed when they are hosting a party or people are around, or when our mind tells us everything needs to be perfect, everything needs to be this way. Why? If we go back to the mind, because there's expectations. Every limitation, expectation, projection that we have about the mind and how the mind needs to work, they just destroy and create that right, wrong, good and bad, but a poco, and show, and beyonds. We need to let our bodies to connect with ourselves. A very interesting example of how can you tell when your mind is driving and you're completely disconnected from your body is that when you do things at home and you just don't remember what you just did. For example, you just went to get something from the cabinet, you got it out, and then suddenly your mind is blank and you just don't know what else to do for like a few seconds. It's like, why did I get this out? Why? Because you just automatically, you just did something, but your body did it thanks to something called a habitual reactivity. When you do that, that's a neuroscientist term, that it means that your body gets used to doing things, and that's why it just repeats a pattern. Habitual reactivity. You react thanks to a habit that you have done all the time. So when your body's been doing something for so many times, it's automatic. So your body is completely disconnected, and your mind as well. They're not communicating. So what happened is that you would just go there and do something quickly, and then you're like, you just completely lost the connection. It's like, what was I doing? And then it takes you a little bit to reconnect. Some people happen even when they are driving, because they always go to the same place. They know how to do it. And you just go. And then when you get there, you're like, I don't even know how I get it, how I just arrived to this place. You just did it, but you just like not thinking. You just did it because that's what you do and you're used to it. It can be very dangerous, so not recommend that, but happens. Not only with driving, but with anything in our life. We forget we do things and then we forget why you did it, or vice versa. That's because our body is used to doing something so many times, and just is like automatic. It's like a doll repeating a pattern. Something that you can notice is that when you move houses, or you go to a hotel or something that is not familiar, you will see that your body would try to get the glasses from the place that it was in your old house or your current house, because you're on holidays, and you open the same cabinet and you're like, oh, it's not there, it's here. If you have moved houses, and this used to happen, it happens to us all the time, because you're used to things being here, and then suddenly you go to a different place and you keep opening that same cabinet for like 2 months. And it's like, oh my God, when am I going to remember it's not there, it's here? And it's because your body got used to the habitual reactivity. You're reacting always the same way. You know how to walk in your bedroom in the darkness, because you know where everything is. As soon as someone puts something out of the way, or you left a shoe or something, an accident can happen, because it's something that is out of the normal. You're not used to that. I hope that makes sense. Another thing that I wanted to touch on that today, I just want to remind me, yes, this is a very good topic. I really like to talk about it. When we talk about habitual reactivity, and if you are interested in learning more about that, there's an amazing book called, it's about neuroplasticity. This is a bit more like scientific, but basically what it says is that It's part of neuroscience. And why it's interesting to learn about neuroscience is because it's linked to mindfulness. There's books that are linked about the neuroscience of mindfulness. And it's a lot of studies that, they recommend doing mindfulness because it helps retrain your brain. And a way of showing you this in a very easy way is like, I'll give you a super easy example. Yes. If you have a paper around there, or if not, I'll show you anyway. I got a paper here to help you understand what is this habitual reactivity and how does that work in our brain, and why mindfulness is so important and it should be relevant in your life. Because imagine that this is like your brain. And then every time that you do something, it creates a mark, a program, something ingrained in your head. And then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And over time that you fold and refold and refold the same thing, you will see that in your brain, you have all these marks, right? And then you want to do the same action, your brain will go, oh yeah, I know how to do it quickly. And the next time, again, it's open, and then you do it one more time, and then you do it even faster because the marks are like, yeah, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. And it becomes like almost automatic because it's like, yeah, I know how to do it. What happened is that the problem with that is that you get so used to it and so marked in your brain, and that it communicates to your body, so your body start acting without even thinking, and you just do things without thinking because it's been it's like automatic now. Now, when you start doing meditation, it's like this is your brain, and then suddenly you start trying to fold it in a different way, and in a different way. So then now you have the original lines, but now you have other lines. So what does tell you that, okay, I know the experiences that I used to have. I know the way I used to do things, but now I'm learning new things. I'm learning new pathways in your brain that teaches me, oh, okay, this is another way of doing things. This is not the only way that I have to do things. So over time, with mindfulness, is going to create something that is called neurogenesis. And what is neurogenesis is the amazing way our brains work, is that even though you have done things 100 times in your life and they're always the same and you know everything, you can always retrain your mind. That's saying that because you are these years of age and you've done this thing all your life and you cannot change, it's not real. That's a lie, a huge lie. It's been proven thanks to neuroplasticity that you can actually learn and change the pathways in your brain until the day you die. And thanks to mindfulness, because it allows you to reshape your pathways in your mind, you can relearn things. You probably have heard about people say, oh, you can brush your teeth with your other hand, or instead of going to work this way, try to use a different way, or instead of using the hand that you usually use. In my hand, in me is my right hand type hand, you use the other one just to train your mind or your brain to do things in a different way. That's the beauty about learning. About if you're someone that likes to know answers and likes to understand things in a more like cognitive way and just want to know why it's good to do and what is not, learning about neuroscience and neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. Neurogenesis means that your neurons are firing and wiring. Genesis means creation. So you are creating new neurons as you do things. Every time that you do things in a different way, you are creating new neurons. They are firing and wiring in a different way. So instead of always using the same path, like in the paper, you are creating a new path, a new firing and wiring. It's fascinating. I remember when I started doing a lot of meditation and a lot of learning about mindfulness, I was reading books about that because I wanted to understand how the brain works and how you can actually train your brain to change and train your brain to do things in a different way. That's why when a client or a friend or a family member tells me, oh, I can't do it, I'm like, it's not that you can't. It's because your mind is telling you that you cannot do it, but you are able to do it. You just need to commit to things. The interesting thing is that when you commit to something, it's not comfortable. It's not easy because the mind doesn't like to go out of the comfort zone. The mind likes to be in their happy place all the time. Everything that is already in your mind, that is the programs, every experience that you have used, everything that you know that is very familiar, that's the happy place for the mind. That's what I said at the beginning, that could be dangerous because it could make you very limited. You are not open to possibilities. You don't open yourself to new experiences or new ways of thinking because of comfort, because the mind doesn't like to be uncomfortable. When you start learning about neuroscience and neuroplasticity and you start learning how to retrain your mind, for example, learning how to meditate or how to do mindfulness, your mind is going to be very uncomfortable at first. That's when your mind is going to say, I don't want to do this. This is boring. It's taking me forever. I cannot do it. This is the mind actually telling you that you are not able to do it because it's out of this comfort zone. What you have to do is just basically keep doing it, and then it will go easier. Another thing that I always say when someone complains about meditation is like, imagine when you're a child and you learn how to write. It took forever. I remember it was like homeworks of doing things and repeating, and my letters are horrible and I cannot do it. Probably tears as well, everything. Until eventually one day it was easy. It was easy. You could do it. You could read and write like second nature. Now it's like you can even probably do it with your eyes closed. Not perfect, but you are able to do it. Second nature. Meditation, mindfulness practices are exactly like that. If you have not learned that since the moment you are born, and let's be honest, we were not in families that, or at least not my family, that my parents meditated or my parents practice mindful eating or mindful walking. That was not a thing. To me, I started doing it like 10 years ago. It's pretty recent. For some people, it's just only discovering now. So don't expect to be perfect after a week of trying it, after a month of trying it, because you will need to be consistent. You will have to commit to it. You will have to find the time. A lot of people say, oh, I don't have the time to do it. But like anything, you have to make the time. When you are a kid, it's pretty easy because parents just send you to school, so you have to do it. When you are an adult, it's hard because it's like, well, I have my life. I don't know how to do it or one moment. So it's up to you. That's something that is linked to choosing. What are you choosing today for yourself? In Access Consciousness, one of the modalities that I told you about it, that I do in the new work, it's all about connecting with the body. It's all about listening to your body and bypassing the mind. That's why when I do the clearing statements. For example, what energy can I be to bypass with total ease my mind and don't listen to the mind chatter of being able to accept with abundance and an open heart everything around me, and anything and everything does not allow me, right and wrong, good and bad, for and pop, and I show about puppets and beyonds. That clear statement is like a broom that it just gets rid of the energy of limitation to expansion. In Access Consciousness, when we talk about my mind is the lock, but the body is the key, it's exactly what mindfulness also tells you. You leave your mind behind to connect with your body, because the body is the key to expansion. When you start connecting with the elements, like I said, identifying that you are elements, that you are nature, that you can breathe in a way that you are perceiving the air in your hair and the smells around you and the sounds around you. And then you say, okay, I understand now. This is what it feels to be in tune with your body and not let the mind drive you everywhere. Something else that I wanted to add, okay, we're good with time. It's about the elements, and we will touch more next class, next workshop. We are nature. We have the elements, the water, the air, the earth, and the fire. When we have too much of those elements within us, too much air, too much earth, water, or fire, it could be related to something that is not so amazingly in your life, or it's unbalanced and energy is imbalance. And why do I mean by that? We're going to go into that next workshop, but it's because when you have too much air, it doesn't mean that you're breathing too much, or you just like, too much air. What I mean by that is that with the energetics is that you are too much in your head, but out there, like dreaming all the time. You're very creative, but not doing things. You're not grounded, because it's almost like you're just like going, like out there all the time. That's when you have too much air, too much thinking, but you're not doing much. That's why it's important to be grounded, like meditation, mindfulness, mindful eating, or mindful walking. That helps you ground yourself, connect to the ground. That's why it's very good to walk in nature with no shoes, no socks, because you're grounding your energy with the energy field of the earth. When you are grounded, you are connecting yourself straight with your energy field, with the cosmos. So you are also like a straight line. When we have too much fire, as I said to you, it's something that it makes you, it's like this force that gets you to do things, to go to places. That's the fire. But when there's too much fire, it can get into that spot in your life that you're like too grumpy, too impatient, too wanting to do things. You cannot stop. That's just too much fire, too much willingness to do. So try to do mindfulness or meditation or any other techniques that helps you ground yourself, to release the mind. That fire is just here and it's just like always driving your life, doesn't allow you to just relax. And when there's too much water, it's like too much emotion. Water in energy is related to emotion. So when you are retaining too much water, or you are too sad, you hold too much emotion within you, that's when you have too much water. That's why if you are feeling emotions, what do? You're too grumpy, you start sweating. When you're too sad, you cry. When because your body needs to release the extra liquid that you are creating within you. Imagine if you want to cry, but you are not allowing yourself to cry. It gets stagnant in your body. For women, usually in the womb area, on the legs, and that's when you find that, I'm retaining too much liquid, and your legs feel like chubby or just like they hurt because it's too much liquid. We will talk about more that in the next one, that it's about energies and how the elements work with energy. What do they mean? But I just wanted to give you like a little bit of an introduction because we spoke about the elements earlier today. I think, do you have any questions? I feel like we are almost on time. Yeah. Do you have any questions about anything that we spoke today? About the breathing techniques? Or would you like to hear about some books? I will send them in the WhatsApp group, because I spoke about a few books that I think, yeah, they're really good. They're not big and really easy to read. More books. Ooh, you were going to go buy books, I think, Alyssa, right? I hope you got some. Oh, thank you, Sue. That's great. That's great. Yeah. As I said, these workshops are like an introduction to new information. For a lot of people, you hear about meditation, you hear about mindfulness, you hear about the elements, but you just don't know what to do with that. You know, it's like just so much information out there that if someone doesn't explain to you or just put it like simple, it's like, you know, that makes sense to you. It's just hard. You just get lost. It's just so much, so many books, how to choose one book. I can share my books because I read them when I was starting and they were like really helpful for me to understand everything. And that's why I share them, because it's like, if you're starting, this book is good. So there are some books that they are a bit too advanced sometimes. And if you don't have the basics, it's like, now I have to read another book to then come back to this book because it's too much. Yeah. I feel like something that I would like to close this workshop with is just remember that we are nature. We are the elements. Yeah. There's too many books. It's very easy to go to like the books area at any bookstore, and then you're like, okay, I'm in this section. I'm in the mindfulness section. I'm in the, I don't know, divine energy section or whatever. And then you're like, so many and so many authors as well. This guy, Jay Shetty, he's amazing as well. He has a podcast. I will share it as well. That is, he just interviews people and they just talk about different point of views about mindfulness, and he just talks about general topics. But I feel like maybe the book, The Think Like a Monk, is a really good starting point. It helped me a lot. And it's those books that you can put a tab and then you go back to them because it's just so much learnings. I hope the two breathing techniques were also helpful. Another one that is really simple is what happened to use the opposite. So I share with you two techniques that are for like calming your nervous system and be like calm in your space and reconnect with your body. But what happens if you are like feeling sluggish and super tired and you need to get to work, or you just need to focus? So usually that's also linked with your breathing is being really slow and you haven't drunk enough water, you haven't eaten enough, your energy is like not good. So what you do, you breathe in deeply and exhale really, really fast. Like what you're doing is just bringing oxygen to your brain. So you're basically waking it up. Because when it does not get much oxygen, it gets a bit sleepy. Usually that happens after we ate too much. Why that happens, I don't know if you ever read about it, but because when we eat too much, all our energy is in the digestive system because it's working really hard to process what the amazing meal that we had or the big meal that we had. So everything goes there, and then everything else is like, I need to go to bed. So to wake up your brain again, you just have to give it oxygen. So by breathing deeply but fast, you're waking yourself up. Maybe try it and let me know if it works. But those two are really helpful. All right. Okay, it's almost 7:30. If you have any other questions or anything, suggestions or anything that stood up for you, that it was really interesting that maybe you didn't know? Were you happy with the information? Hopefully. Great, good to know. All right, so maybe try to practice some of the exercises in the week, and maybe next week, if you're able to join, we can chat about, quickly at the beginning if it worked and you felt that it was, contribution to your life. Mm. What do you mean? That was interesting, see? The elements in the body? Mm. Yeah, it will be even more interesting when we talk about Mother Earth and the women, because that's where everything comes together, the energetics, the elements, Mother Earth, and other archetypes like the divine feminine and the wild woman. And it's just really exciting, really cool. All right, that's all. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. And keep an eye on the in the WhatsApp group, because I'm going to be sending some of the recommendation of the books. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.